tip the Wookiee bartenders 20% or more, and no Raylos, no sequel trilogy fans, no Black Pills, no Soilo fans, and no bounty hunters or droids. Okay, we're respecting the feelings of the smugglers everywhere that hang out here, and the Jedi, and the princesses, everything else. Anyway, talk a little bit about the earnings call today. So, there's hair on there. We're going to hear probably best case scenario stuff. I really don't think Iger is going to say much of anything beyond, talking about a dip in subscribers. Now I got to remember that they did talk about losing subscribers in the second quarter call, and that was due to the fact that, hey, Cross, how you doing? That was due to the fact that they lost Cricket for Hotstar. Okay, fine. Cricket, I don't understand why, is big in India, and that was a lot of subscribers. So that's part of it. But this, I think, will just have to do with it, the cost, the fact that content isn't that good. And, if you've got, the movies in physical copy and you're really not, that with into streaming shows like the Marvel Universe or Star Wars or anything, you'll probably not want to watch. You probably won't want Disney Plus. Now, he's going to, I think, talk up Ahsoka and probably Skeleton Crew. I want you guys to understand that those are the only things that Disney has going right now for Star Wars. That's it. Both are Dave Filoni, Jon Favreau pieces. And that's, this is going to be kind of a low expectations call. Now, for those of you waiting with breath that is bated for him to say, we fired Kathleen Kennedy, don't hold your breath. I think that they waited to do something with Lucasfilm for after this earnings call. Okay, this is why all the stuff at Lucasfilm has had the kibosh put down. They feel probably strongly that they would lose stock value because of Kathleen Kennedy's out. We're reorganizing Lucasfilm, blah, blah, blah. Let me explain something. Investors at this level, like the brokers on Wall Street, and I'm not talking about hedge fund managers. I'm not talking about the institutional investors. I'm talking about the guys that buy and sell shares all the time. They will run away because they don't understand that all this stuff has to be done. And actually being told Kathleen Kennedy's gone is a win for everybody. But, then let's talk a little bit about, all right, so I want to talk a little bit about this. Elon Musk came out and said he would pay the legal bills of anybody who was fired from their job for saying something that was politically incorrect on Twitter. And, Gina Carano jumped in and said, well, I think I fit that. And she doesn't. Here's what happened. When she got canned, let's explain. The meme she had posted was of, it could have been Ukrainians, it could have been Poles, it could have been Russians rounding up Jews after the Nazis came in, because that's what they did. That's what the Hungarians did it. There were villages in France when the Nazis came through that rounded up their Jews. So and what she was trying to imply was that this is what happens when you've got people who are fanatical about their politics and they can't deal with their neighbors disagreeing. Okay, and look, that shit happens everywhere. It's not a Holocaust Jewish thing. They did it in China during the Great Leap Forward, Cultural Revolution, aka the butchering of 60 million human beings. Castro did it. Pol Pot did it. The Turks did it to the Armenians. Okay, the Russians did it. The Bolsheviks did it. So, her analogy was correct, but because it was Jews, and you don't cross the line into the Holocaust there, Kennedy saw her way forward. Now, in my humble opinion, she took advantage of the meme. Anybody with a brain would understand what Gina was saying. So, and Kennedy took advantage of the meme. Despite being dumber than a box of rocks, she's clever. She knew that it didn't have anything to do with that. Gina's context didn't have anything to do with the Holocaust. But when you've got people like Steven Spielberg and Barbara Streisand and other prominent members of the Jewish community being part of the Hollywood elite, they're because they so identify with what happened. Okay, they can't. They look. They cannot separate themselves in the Holocaust from political opponents. You know what I'm saying? They can't separate the Holocaust from, what happened in Maoist, hey Dave, in Maoist China, okay, or, Cuba or Venezuela or, wherever, okay. And she was able to use that. I don't know. I think it's a weakness of Hollywood to just basically put it out there that they're not going to re-sign Gina to a contract. Now, does she have a case? First of all, I'm going to say, bad girl that you didn't go after them right away. Okay, you could have made a big fucking stink. All right, in my opinion, waiting for now was a silly thing to do, but we'll get back to that. She may have a case as far as like money that she lost. The fact that it was basically a canceling and she lost her agent, her PR people, and, people consider, the fact that she lost her agent and her PR people as her being fired from them. No, they just stopped doing business. Oh, I'm doing great, Dave. Good to see you here. They just stopped doing business with her. Okay, that firing is when you are under contract, you violate the contract, and they say you violated the cause clause, you're gone. Okay. So she could have a leg to stand on. I don't know. Part of me says go for it. Part of me says why waste your time? And I'm going to add this. She is the daughter of an extremely wealthy man. Her father was an NFL quarterback. He is in Las Vegas now. I think he's either part owner, partners in a casino, or he owns one outright. Okay, so it's not like she doesn't have money. Okay. So she could so if had she wanted to sue their asses off, she could have. Okay, she could have. You know, the fact that there could have been a verbal agreement between her and Disney about her next contract, and then Kennedy came in and said she's not coming back. That could be something they could use because verbal agreements are allowed in this kind of situation. I don't know. My personal thing is this is it's been over 2 years. It's going to be 2 years. Okay. You know, move on. And look, you know, she's not innocent of anything. Okay. I mean, she was probably told right away, stop talking politics. I'm going to say this. I'll bet you $1,000 that if you asked Giancarlo Esposito and Carl Weathers what they thought about the jab, they would say something completely politically incorrect. Okay. You know, Brendan Wayne, the actual real Mandalorian, is the grandson of John Wayne. His mother is very prominent in the Republican Party. He has never said a political thing on Twitter. I don't think he is on Twitter, but he's never said a political thing on Instagram at all. He puts stuff out about going to cons and coaching girls soccer, and that's it. Okay, really, he's very low key, which tells me the guy has got his head on his shoulders. Okay, so maybe he doesn't have pronouns in his bio. All right. You know, I don't really know how it started. You know, Cameron was saying it started when Gina decided she wasn't going to put pronouns in her bio when she did it was boop or bop boop or boop bop beep, you know, R2D2. And, you know, the crazed, you know, psychopaths lost their minds, okay, and went nuts. I mean, I don't know if it started then or where. She should have just not said another word, okay? You know, just look. Stay off of Twitter. All right. If you have a job that and you're working for somebody who is really fanatical about transgender shit, look for a new job. If you don't like what they're saying, climate change, look for a new job. The jab, look for a new job. Okay. I find it when I went and watched some of the old Doomcock videos about some of this stuff. And I find it fascinating that it turned into what appeared to be a high school lunchroom. Okay. You got, you know, the Pablo Hidalgo cool kids bullying the nerdy girl over here, and she's baiting them. You know, as far as I'm concerned, both sides are at fault. Both sides suck. Okay, and that's it. You know, if I was Jon Favreau, I'd say, I'm going to get somebody else to play Cara Dune. All right. And I'm not saying that Gina Carano is a bad person or that I disagreed with it. She said I agreed with it. But there's a time and a place, and if you're going to say anything out loud in the public square, because X is the public square. You might as well be on Fifth Avenue and Broadway, with a sign saying man-caused climate change is bullshit, or the jab is poison. If you do that, expect retaliation. Expect to get yourself in trouble. Okay. And look, I would think, when I think about this, running a film studio, you'd want the people working for you to mind what they say in public, no matter what it was, because everybody in the public is a potential customer, is a potential fan, right? Am I right? Yes, I'm right. And, like taking up the flag for transgenderism. I mean, a good 70% of people are going to go, fuck you, get out of here, leave the kids alone. Okay, maybe more, probably more. It's a turnoff. Okay, taking up for the LGBTQ nutbags like Latondra Newton and Latoya Ravenel. You're not going to make a lot of people happy. Okay, especially you're working for a studio that makes films for everybody, and families definitely. And it's like, what'd you do that for? Okay, it's a turnoff. Okay, by the same token, everybody knows Clint Eastwood is a right-leaning Republican libertarian. Okay, Kurt Russell is too. Kurt Russell has said quite a lot of things. Tom Selleck, but they don't make it a habit to get on the soapbox everywhere they can, like so many do on the left, and make fools of themselves. All right, they're just not going to do it. All right, Mark Hamill does it. He does it all the time, and you're looking at him going, Mark, stop it, and he won't. Why? He's virtue signaling. All right, he's looking for attention, and when you peel back the onion about what's going on with him, he didn't come out of Star Wars, the big movie star. It's always guys, actors like him that do that, men or women. Ellen Barkin is the same, does the same thing, but Mark, after Star Wars, did not see his star rise. He played Mozart in Amadeus on Broadway, did a really good job, and they gave, he was up for the part for the movie. They gave the role to somebody else. And I think the accident that he had, where it kind of smashed up his face, really, I think, hurt him as far as getting parts. When you watch, like, he looks fine in The Empire Strikes Back. He looks fine in Return of the Jedi, but again, Harrison Ford is the one that became the big movie star. I would say Carrie Fisher was a bigger name than Mark Hamill after Star Wars. He's done some other things, and which is great. The thing about the Knights Templar was a great show. He does voiceover. He does voice acting work. But he's never quite become the movie star I think he thought he was going to be. You got Harrison Ford, one of the biggest, if not the biggest, box office star in the world. When you adjust it for inflation, so there's a lot of bitterness, and people like that put it out there. Okay, so Hamill fixates on, he fixated on Donald Trump, Sarah Palin, and he says really kind of ugly stuff all the time. You don't want someone like that representing you either. But because the way Hollywood is, he doesn't get called out on the carpet. Now, if I was, let's say, like, I'm the new head of Lucasfilm, I want to do Heir to the Empire and I want Mark to come back. I've already got Harrison coming back. We've got somebody, we're going to do deep fake Carrie Fisher to make it, to give everybody the chance to see all three of them. And Mark starts shooting his mouth off on Twitter. I'd say, I want you to sign a contract saying you will stay off Twitter till we're done making this movie. Why? Because it drives people away. Okay, I would rather have my actor not be on Twitter, be politically ambiguous, okay, than, pulling, an Alec Baldwin, oh God, John, shit, you name the actor, okay? And it's like, trying to make a movie. You're pissing off customers. Stop it, okay? Because there are times where a person just can't separate the actor from his politics, okay? Now, Harrison Ford is not a Republican, though I do think he kind of leans more moderate than most of the people in Hollywood. He did leave Hollywood. He does spend most of his time in Wyoming. In fact, he put his adopted son in the high school in Wyoming, get him away from California. And I know you think about that. You think about what that means. That means Callista and Harrison were not happy with the education that the kid was getting and what kinds of pressures were being put on that boy. Okay, there you go. He's out of high school now, but it says a lot. Okay, so, but he doesn't go on Twitter. He has talked about environmental issues and has done something about the rainforest and stuff. But it's not, I don't feel like I have a bully swinging for my face because I disagree with them politically, like I do with Mark. Carl Weathers says some stuff that I'm like, knock it off. I don't care who you are, knock it off. Why? Again, it's a turnoff. It's a turnoff. Even back in the day, Humphrey Bogart and Laura McCall were very angry about the blacklisting. And they went and testified, hey, Michael, how are you? They went and testified in front of Congress. Humphrey Bogart was a Democrat. Despite doing that, I never felt that I had to hate him, all right? Because back then, you could have a disagreement, and to be honest, look, there were card-carrying members. Hey, Corianne, how you doing? There were card-carrying members of the Communist Party working in Hollywood. Okay, Elia Kazan went out there and said that. Should there have been a blacklist? No. Should Gina Carano be canceled? No. Does she have a lawsuit? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe not. Okay, I don't know. It's one of those things where you'd really have to look at it and say, is this about oh, really? Well, I think, Corianne, if you can DM Cameron with that. Maybe that's something you can ask. Somebody can ask. You can ask Cameron to ask Sparrow. Okay. All right. Because I can't DM when I'm on here. So look, about concerning that rumor, really, that was predictable. If it's true, and I believe it's true because, again, get ready for this one. I went to bookscan.com. I looked to see how many books my mother-in-law sold. And then I looked at the High Republic. Into the Darkness sold less books than my mother-in-law's first novel. Okay, that's how bad it did. And it's like, her book is good book. It's an interesting read. And yeah, exactly. Great, Corian. So that's great news. And it's very interesting to me that if you go on Twitter and look to see what Pablo's doing, he's very quiet publicly. And if somebody that is on Pablo's private Twitter account could maybe, I don't know, put a few of his private tweets out there so we could all see what he was saying, it would be great because then I could, honestly, I think he knows he's done. I do. It's just one of those feelings that I've got from a lot of them. Yeah, he has. Look, Mike Loves Cats is right. Okay, he's right. Pablo's a destructive tool, but a lot of them are. Let's go back and talk about Gina. Pablo actually was teasing Gina and making fun of her sister when she got COVID. And Gina gutted him like a fish. Pablo ran to Aunt Kathy. Okay, this is the problem. Gina let them bait her into arguments, and then she wouldn't stop. Okay, I look at both sides and say, if you guys can't go to your own corners, mind your own damn business, you morons over there, leave her alone. You stop baiting them. They have shit to do. I wanted to see Rangers of the New Republic. I did. Now, and of course, Kennedy went above Favreau's head. And of course, we all know now that if John had done anything, she'd have fired him. Okay. And there's nothing Bob or the other Bob could have done. Okay. All right. Now it looks like the shoe's on the other foot. Okay. They have their person that's going to come in. I think, and I'm going to say it, he's already in the office. And I'm not going to say who it is. I think that it's now a matter of time. And again, they still have to connect Kennedy to things like the Acolyte criminal stuff. The $50 million, where did it all come from? Is it her allocated funds, like her discretionary funds? $50 million? Really? $50 million is, okay. $50 million is too much for, what could be considered a pilot. And we know it wasn't a pilot. We know for a fact it was 3 kind of episodics for sizzle reel, okay? And $50 million? What did they use it for? Okay, we know there was money and 50,000 euros bundles going into Blue Stockings, your UK, at different times for Madeira and other places. Okay, that she went and filmed. Not enough for a, definitely not enough for an entire 8-episode season. And then so you got that. You've got my former friend whose buddy was the art director for The Acolyte, and who basically said last December, the end of it, oh, they're done. They're in the middle of filming the 3rd episode. We get to Celebration. Oh, they're in the middle of filming the 4th episode. That was in April. Oh, or yeah, right, April, May. Oh, afterwards, they're in the middle of filming the 5th episode too. It's wrapped. Really? Wow. So it took you all this long time to get to the 5th episode, and then 6, 7, and 8 just boom, done. Are you fucking kidding me? Really? Do I look like I fell off a turnip truck? But we're all supposed to believe it because the Black Pill Blob said so. Probably because Pablo, when he was talking to them, told them that. And look, I don't put it past any of these guys to put feelers out to somebody like Jason Ward, who would lie about anything, okay, to get, that narcissistic supply of his fed. Will John hire Gina back? The question is, will she come back? All right, let's say next week, it's announced that Gina or Kennedy is stepping down from Lucasfilm, and Steph has got a giant bottle of champagne. It's not a Magnum bottle, but it's a very expensive champagne downstairs. And I'm going to eat probably a magnificent steak or maybe something else gourmet. And maybe I'll get some fresh oysters and pig out. Okay. Party down. Okay. Maybe I'll even spend some money on caviar. I don't know. Then Kennedy's gone. We start hearing about the Flying Monkeys getting kicked off the team. Would she come back? I'm not buying it. First off, look, I'm going to say this. I'm not sure, based on how all this stuff came down with her, if she has a case. Okay, because she wasn't fired. She was told on deadline that she no longer was going to be working with Lucasfilm. She didn't have a contract. So now, it's kind of like Karen McCarthy, where Karen McCarthy had a verbal agreement and she had all these emails and everything, right? Maybe if Gina had a verbal agreement with oh God, I would in a heartbeat. That sounds really good. Oh man. Oh, I might get like a big ribeye that thick and do what I do with it and probably share it with my husband, because when they're that big, I can't eat them. I can't eat all that. But I don't know. The lobsters look good too. But that sounds excellent. I mean, wow. But I don't, because of the way it went down, I'm not sure what kind of a case she'd have. And again, gotta remember, if she was serious about this, the question is, Why didn't you go after them before? Okay, if you had a case, okay, because it would have made a lot more sense, in my opinion, to go after them immediately. Uh, you know, she fired from her agent and her PR people. They dropped her. I don't know if you could call that. Ooh, that sounds good. I'd like to try mead. That sounds really good. I wonder if they sell it at. I'll have to ask Rima. Rima is a friend of mine. She's a sommelier at the wine shop, and we hang out and eat dinner at each other's houses. And her and her husband. And I swear I've seen mead at that at the shop. Anyway, so I'll probably have to get some. Maybe I'll look for it on Friday when we go to the wine tasting. But if Gina can prove she lost, if she can point to her agents and saying, I lost my agent because of this, I lost my PR people, I've lost income because of this, could she have a libel case? And the thing about it is, even if she doesn't have a case and she ends up losing, Discovery would be really embarrassing for Kennedy. And the rest of Lucasfilm. As Cameron told Pablo and the rest of the Flying Monkeys, when she's gone, you're gone, and you'll never work in this town again. And it's true. All right, it's true. I look at Pablo and say, well, maybe Jason Ward and you can do a podcast together. Okay, I mean, obviously Ward is making enough to keep himself in, I don't know what he eats. So there's that. Yeah, if it does, and that's the thing, does it or doesn't it? Yeah, it did. It pissed everybody off. And again, Sci-Fi Universes, she wasn't fired. Her contract was never renewed. And that's what the story said. But again, Gina's comes from an extremely wealthy family. Her father was a pro football player, and he's, I think, either an owner or a partner in one of the biggest casinos in Las Vegas. Now, because she's Italian, she was getting shit from the SJWs that her dad was a member of the mafia. And, Vegas nowadays, I went like in 2008, and the mafia isn't there like it used to be. All right, it's nothing. After Rudy Giuliani started basically rolling up the families with the RICO laws, and a RICO law is this. Oh, okay. Okay, cool. All right, that's interesting. A RICO law works like this. The head of the family, John Gotti, Tommy Lucchese, Joe Colombo, Carmine Persico, any of these guys. Michael Franzise's dad, who was the underboss for the Colombo family, Sonny Franzese, could be blamed for a crime that they weren't part of and arrested for it and convicted. It worked. Okay. Now, Michael Franzese is a guy I really admire. He's a really cool dude. And he has a great YouTube channel. I suggest you guys go and subscribe to it. I subscribe to Sammy the Bull Gravanos too, who he was Gotti's underboss and was the one that flipped a dime on Gotti. They don't like it because there's no direct involvement. Like Michael Franzese's father was thrown in jail for 50 years for supposedly being part of a bank robbery that he didn't have anything to do with. But they arrested him for it, they convicted him for it, and he spent a good part of his life in prison. And the RICO statutes, I mean, Michael Franzese got pulled in and thrown into jail for it. One of my favorite things, and this is why I can't hate the guy, is they came up with a gas tax scam. And what they would do was they come up with these licenses so they could open up a gas station. And they'd sell the gas like, 10 cents cheaper. And back during the 70s and 80s, when gas was going up, I mean, people are like, okay, cool, this is fine. They were making money hands over fist. And when the thing that they had got discovered, they closed it down and opened it up again. Okay. And he finally got pulled in for it and, of course, spent 7 years in prison. But I gotta say this. When I heard that, I'm like, somewhere in Valhalla, Sam Adams is going, well done, well done. Screw the government. That's why I can't hate that guy. It's when you get into like Sammy the Bull will tell you a story. We're on tangent now. We'll tell you a story about when they were in Little Italy, sitting outside Gotti's social club. There's a beautiful woman who would take her baby for a walk in the stroller or the carriage every day. She's absolutely drop dead gorgeous. And they'd see her in the morning, they'd see her at night, whatever. And the neighborhoods that they were in were safe. Why? Because any thug, rapist, or whatever who showed up there to prey on people in that neighborhood would find themselves dead, and they knew it. Okay, like a friend of mine went to school in Boston, and no, it wasn't. She had to walk through part of Little Italy in Boston, and she, attractive woman, her roommate, attractive college students, they would get off the subway, come up, walk down the street. You'd see these, obvious Italian guys sitting around outside the restaurants or their social clubs or their bars, cafes, and they start following him home. And finally, Liz's friend turned around and said to him, "Why are you following me?" And the bigger one said, "To make sure you get home." Okay, they're bad people, but if they could keep people like Ted Bundy out of a neighborhood, good, because the cops can't. Remember, cops show up after the crime is done. They're there to clean up the mess. Okay, just, it's one of those things where, like in Boston, my dad was visiting. He's from small town Wisconsin. Big cities were like to him. And, oh, that's cool, Corian. They get out of the car, the Volvo, of course, because that's what they were, the chariot of white Democrat elites from Massachusetts is the fucking Volvo. And, Dad gets out of the car and he's looking around going, "Are you sure it's safe to leave this here?" And Roger's like, "It's fine. The mafia runs this place and nothing's going to happen to my car." Okay, first off, keep the cops out. Second of all, You keep people coming in to buy or for dinner and keeping your restaurant, which is covered for gambling, loan sharking, uh, all kinds of shit. You keep it in business. I mean, that's what they did. And it was always interesting to me. It's I have a grudging admiration for them. But with all of that comes a lot of shit like fixing horse racing. I love horse racing. I don't want to see a thoroughbred hurt, so a long shot can win because, you know, uh, some, mafia capo wanted to make sure they made a lot of money on a 50-1 shot. I mean, no. Okay, that pisses me off. Cheating in boxing, cheating in basketball, all of that, and they fixed a lot of those. In fact, I'm gonna say this. If you want to know where the mafia is now, look at the NFL and look at the referees. Just look. You've got a play, guy makes 10 yards. First down. When you watch the replay, you don't see anything wrong, but the line judge, throw a flag and scream holding. Okay, there was no holding. He points at a guy that didn't have anything to even, was so far away from the play, he had nothing to do with it. That's a 10-yard penalty, so they lose 20 yards. That changes the game. That takes momentum away. Think about it, okay? Because football is like war, and it's all about momentum, okay? So, all right, we talked about Gina, talked about the earnings call, and apparently now they're going to wind down the High Republic, which, would be interesting if we can get some more information on that. And of course, I've got somebody now. Mr. Fox doesn't work for Lucasfilm, but Mr. Fox knows some pretty high up people, and he told Lord Tornaga, the facilitator here, that yes, there's Lucasfilm is on fire. It's in chaos, and I don't need to add any details, as long as I know that Sparrow is being backed up, and now it's out there. Hollywood is talking about it. They're not putting it in the rags and the trades, but they're talking about it. That's a BFD. Okay, that is a BFD. Okay, that kind of told me that Dimcock, Cameron, and I, etc., are all on the same. We're marching in the right direction. Okay, and all right, I don't know. A lot of you guys don't know who Craig is. He runs. It's still up, but has been used in years. A channel called Reviews for You. And he and I started talking and hanging out in 2018, and we had quite a little group. Mazurus is part of it. The Boxing Jedi, Jay, was part of it, and some other people, and Dave Pensack was part of it. And we had a really good time, and Craig did have a lot of really good info because he was connected to somebody at Lucasfilm. So we would get really good stuff all the time. And he just up and disappeared. We don't know what happened to him. We don't know where he went. But he just kind of vanished. And it was kind of sad when you think about it, because it would be nice to have him with his connection. Okay, great guy, funny dude. If he's listening, Craig. All right, because last time I talked to him, he said YouTube locked his account and wouldn't let him reopen it because there were 2 videos that someone had flagged. And it's like, delete them. Look, it's not worth it, you know? But again, I don't know what's really going on with him. So, and he did have some health issues, a brain tumor that was taken care of, but they do come back. All right. So there's that. So it could have been Geeks and Gamers. He and I both did a debate with Matt Kadish on there one night, and Jeremy was shitty to us. And what we didn't know at the time was Craig was in the hospital with brain tumor. And when I basically brought it up to Jeremy the next day, he just ignored it. And I'm like, okay, fuck you. There you go. You know, they're in it for the money. Jeremy had liked The Last Jedi till he realized that people were gaining subscribers by hating it. So this is how genuine that guy is. And really, it's a bunch of social climbers. So, you know, they think they're the cool kids. They're not. You know, most of the time, the most popular kids in school are the biggest phonies. Okay. The smaller person's group, the more real they are. Because phony people can't deal with real. They can't. Okay. And they want their phony ideas of what the world is about to be validated. Okay. Anyway, I've got like, I think 42 minutes before, or maybe an hour before I have to check, before the earnings call comes. I'm going to set this up so we can listen to it. And we can talk about what he's saying. And if you guys want to jump in too, you can. All right. So I got to go because I'm going to lose my voice. And I don't want to. You guys have a good afternoon, and I will see you back when the earnings call starts. See you around the galaxy.